Hello, beauties, and welcome to the Science of Sound. De-stress from your daily drama without booze, impulse buys, or binge watching your favorite shows. Learn how to reprogram your beautiful nervous system for a more stress-free, flowy, pleasureful day-to-day. I'm Viv. I am a sound practitioner, a soul teacher, a holistic life coach, but we'll get to more of that later. Right now, I just want to hop on into a little bit about what is the actual science behind sound healing and why and how it works. All right, loves. So let's get right into it. I know you're here because you want to learn how to master your stress response so you can stop sweating the small stuff, even the big stuff, for more pleasure and enjoyment every single day of your precious, beautiful life. So you're looking for effective solutions to stress. That's why you're here, right? Well, do not worry. I got you. Let's talk about stress in general for a moment. You probably already know this, and if you don't, I'm about to blow your mind. Stress is the cause of the most disease and disorders in the world. All right, there's a citation here. I didn't make it up. All right, the National Center of Biotechnology recorded this. And according to the American Psychological Association, chronic stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death, which are heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and suicide. All right, those are the 6 leading causes of death in the US. And more than 75% of all physician office visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. Okay, the root cause of all this is stress, chronic stress. Isn't this wild that stress is the #1 killer in the world right now? No, actually, it's not, unfortunately. We're not surprised. However, what can we do to combat this lurking stress that's all around us that everybody experiences for various reasons? And when we're talking about stress too, it's important to remember that there are both short-term and long-term impacts of stress, okay? It's not just the long game, like cancer and diabetes, okay? It's also the short-term impacts of stress that we experience on the day-to-day, which is like brain fog, poor quality sleep, maybe fatigue, digestive issues, and your productivity might be suffering. Your ability to be present with life might be suffering. Maybe you're getting lost in a lot of daydreams. You keep losing your keys. You keep making silly mistakes. And you're wondering what is going on? What's wrong with me? And I'm here to tell you, my love, there's nothing wrong with you. You're probably just stressed out. The reason you feel like life is passing you by so quickly is in part because you're not present. You're probably usually thinking about what you just did and what you're going to do. But what about the right now? How can we cultivate more presence in the right now? Because that is the key to experiencing less stress, is actually becoming present. And why? What? That doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Presence equals more pleasure. And why is this? What happens when we shift our minds from everyday minutia, taking the trash out, what we're gonna wear, what we're gonna eat later, to the beauty of each moment? What happens when you start focusing on the now? Even if the now is just a nice conversation with somebody in a grocery store or the taste of your morning coffee. When we are present in life, we evaluate more clearly, we problem solve more easily, and it leads us to better decision making, okay? So if you're stressed about your problems and you're not focusing on what's right in front of you, you're contributing to that problem. When we're present, we're able to experience more pleasure. When we're present, we're able to pick out the bits and pieces of joy that pass by us moment to moment. And that gives us more enjoyment and pleasure in life, thereby allowing us to problem solve our stressful situations much more clearly. Isn't that a fun paradox? All right, I want to paint a little picture for you, so bear with me. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever had to go to a friend or like family event that you were really excited about, but it was after a really rough day at work or something just went down with your significant other? Some stressful event happened right before you were supposed to go to this fun event that you were looking forward to. Was your excitement overshadowed by the events of the day? Was it a situation where you couldn't stop thinking about the hypothetical what ifs, or I should have said this instead of that? Or maybe you're stuck on what will the solution be? Or on the flip side of this, maybe you were so stressed out that you wanted to just forget about what just happened. So you got a little too drunk or you went a little too wild at the event, and then you feel a little bit of shame after. In both instances, we're lacking presence, right? So what if instead you could move through that stress, truly put it aside, and enjoy the evening to the fullest? What if that was possible? It is, you can. But what it requires is some brain retraining. It requires you to create a different relationship to stress than you have right now. Especially, and I resonate with this, if you're somebody who gets stuck on stressful thoughts and situations, like you ruminate on them, you like can't let them go because you're either trying to solve it, you're obsessed with it, or your brain just like cannot get off of it. And I get it. I totally understand. So, do you notice that when you're stressed, maybe during that stressful conversation with a significant other or a coworker, when you're caught in the crosshairs of some life drama, do you notice that your heart races? Do you notice how your appetite fluctuates? Maybe you want to eat a lot, or maybe you have no appetite. Maybe it manifests as you having a lot of trouble sleeping. Or maybe it's the opposite, where you find yourself so tired and it's like you can never get enough sleep. Maybe you have a short attention span. These are all fight and flight stress responses. And all of these things, unfortunately, just put more stress on your body. So then you're just in this fun little spiral of stress spiral, if you will. All of these things put more stress on your body, and they actually make it harder to cultivate that peace and that calm that you're looking for, right? Think about it. If you're super tired, or if your body is in a state of anxiousness because you have no appetite, so you're forgetting to eat, it's going to be even harder to cultivate the stress-free, calm, and peace that you're looking for. These bodily responses are those fight or flight mechanisms from our primal brain. Okay, we can't control them. And they're hardwired within us to protect us from danger. It's just that we've evolved past those old days of foraging and needing to protect our village from predators. But our brain has not caught up in that sense. And so our brain doesn't know the difference between life-threatening danger and just modern day disruptions and modern day minutia. So you try and help yourself out. Maybe you try eating some comfort food to distract yourself, some wine, you turn on some Netflix, but then it's like as soon as you turn away from the TV, once the food digests, once the buzz wears off, you're back in the stress cycle. Maybe it's a tad quieter because you've worn yourself out, but there it lurks in the background, begging for your undivided attention. And let me be clear, eating comfort food, drinking some wine, watching some TV, in themselves, none of those things are bad at all. I endorse those things. We all need to relax. But it's when we're constantly reaching for these things, impulse buying, online shopping, to make us feel better, that we're actually practicing a little bit of self-destruction. We're caught in these cycles of trying to make things better when we might actually be making things worse. It's not realistic, my love, to eliminate stress from your life, okay? It's just not. There's always going to be some shit popping off. There's always going to be something to stress about. But there are ways to train your body, your brain, and your mind to experience stress in a way that doesn't rob you of your quality of life. Isn't that amazing? It's not a magic pill, but it's called sound meditation. It's almost as enjoyable, in my opinion. Sound meditation retrains the stress response of the brain and the body. So we can regulate, so we can self-regulate. That's the most important part, right? We're self-regulating more effectively when we experience those inevitable life hiccups. We don't need to run away anymore to the wine or the impulse buys or whatever your self-soothing habits are, right? You can self-soothe with the magic of your mind, some meditation, and some beautiful sounds. But okay, who am I to talk about this, really? What do I even know about stress? I'm far too young, right? I've never been stressed. Could I? I have, my love. What qualifies me to talk about this is a few things. I have lived experience with trauma, stress, grief, and navigating life transition, as well as academic experience, as well as career work experience working with highly stressed people. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression as a kid, but I'm what they call high functioning. So I found a lot of ways to work around it until my mid-20s when shit really hit the fan. I was riddled with a lot of anxiety, a racing heart due to various traumas that were both happening at the time and that were past memories that were coming up for me. I had a terrible appetite, aka I had no appetite, and I mostly felt pretty nauseated. I had trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. And those were things that I had dealt with kind of my whole life, but I had worked around them. So to deal with this, I smoked a shit ton of weed. Okay, that's a clinical term. To deal with this, I smoked a lot of marijuana. And it made me drowsy enough to fall asleep at night. And it also gave me the munchies so I could eat and really enjoy myself. But it was all artificially induced, right? And when I mean artificial, I just mean it wasn't coming from my own body's balance. I was using a substance, an experience in order to elicit body responses that should have been normal. To fall asleep is something the human body knows how to do naturally. I was just kind of numb all the time because I was smoking so much, to be honest, and working so much. So if I wasn't working, I was probably smoking so that I could eat and sleep. And then I was working and then I started all over again. And this is all when I was training to become a therapist. Okay. This is all when I was in my master's program studying psychology, learning about wellness, burning the candle at both ends, like kind of practicing what I was preaching to my clients in some ways, and in other ways, I was not able to. At this time as well, my sweet dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness and was given just a few months to live. So I was anxious and I was terribly sad. I was trying to stay present with my clients and my students. I was also a teacher and trying to offer insight on other people's issues when I couldn't really deal with my own. Yikes. But hey, it happens. And I was tired all the time. And I even started hiding and distancing myself from my friends and isolating because I was just really overwhelmed with everything life was throwing at me. So there I was, a little depressed, a little anxious. I was honestly self-hating and a bit bitter and resented life for what was happening with me. And I was just feeling like I couldn't handle it. How was I supposed to navigate all this change when I was trying so hard already and I couldn't even get a good night's sleep without smoking a big fat joint? So I tell this story to say I have my master's degree in psychology. I was trained as an art therapist, and I have over 10 years of experience of different kinds of human development under my belt, working with humans of all ages, from babies in preschools to working with folks in care centers who have dementia. But what really makes me fit to speak on stress and the nervous system and self-soothing is that I have found ways, I have had to find ways to not only self-care, but to find true soul-feeling pleasure and peace through like wild life transitions and a lot of grief. I'm not just like a hypothetical shrink repeating like, how does that make you feel over and over again, like hoping we get somewhere, hoping that there's a breakthrough. Because I know from experience, talking alone does not work when you're dealing with really heavy life stuff. And when you're learning to deal and honor your life's chaos, and even when you want to find harmony in the magic, in the madness, but there is magic in the madness, I swear. It's more than just talking and it's more than just creating habits. And talking about your roadblocks and issues are important, but the most important part is the self-work of learning to calm your nervous system, period. I mean, that's where I start with everybody is how is your nervous system? Now, maybe I don't ask them like that, but without a regulated nervous system, none of the talking is actually going to matter. Without a regulated nervous system, you cannot make impactful, lasting change. Without a regulated nervous system, you cannot see your situation clearly because you're trapped in fight, flight, or flee. And there I was trapped in fight or flight and flee for years, just trying to figure out how to eat day to day without resenting that my body needed care. So after making it through grad school, instead of walking the usual therapist path, I decided to integrate my psychology background with my experience as an apprentice of a holistic medicine woman called a curandera, and I became my own version of a healer. It was actually in my sessions with my curandera, who was not a licensed therapist, who works through guided shamanic meditation, that I learned to access my own inner realms of peace and power. And it was through many of these sessions that I started to embrace my agency. And then I started to feel like I could deal with what life was throwing at me without hiding or running away. And it was in those sessions, as my curandera was guiding me, that it was not just her words, but also the beat of the drum, the sacred rattle, tuning forks. I didn't know, but at the time, but she was calming my nervous system and she was teaching me shamanic meditation practices that were doing that for me as well. So it was a version, I didn't realize what I was getting was actually a version of sound meditation. Ooh, so exciting. I was getting my very first taste of sound meditation, and it was really bypassing my cognitive mind so that I could actually experience peace and calm within my body because she was teaching me and helping me calm my nervous system. So that's why sound meditation works. And one part is because you can bypass your conscious mind that's like, I need to do this, I need to do that, da, 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 da. And you can go to that primal brain that's actually sending off all the alarms. When you're stressed out, your conscious mind and your primal brain are not even talking anyways. So it's cute that we try and talk ourselves off the ledge, if you will, but we kind of have to like sing ourselves off of the ledge. If finding peace in your stressful day to day was as easy as I'm just going to feel better now, or I won't let it bother me, I mean, I feel like we'd already be doing that, right? So hence why sound meditation is so amazing. It's because it bypasses that conscious part. And mindset is, of course, one of the tenets of healing, of growing, of learning to calm our bodies and our nervous system. But telling ourselves how we're supposed to act isn't really enough. We have to experience it both cognitively and physically. So we can have the bodily memory of that physiological response of calming ourselves down after a triggered state. And this is why it can be really hard to find your peace when life's stress and upsets come your way, is because your mind can say, yeah, we're fine. But the physiological response of your body needs to agree. The physiological signals of the hormones and the areas of your brain that are working need to also agree. And this is where sound healing comes in to support you. We have to create new neural pathways that teach our bodies to self-soothe through the stress response. Because we have these pathways that we enforce over and over again through our old behaviors, thoughts, and actions. So realizing this and knowing this myself, like I had been trapped in fight or flight stress cycles, and I would run away with them, and they involved like marijuana and just like, learning how to stimulate my body using other things. When I found sound meditation, I was so relieved. And this is what inspired me to create my latest offering, which is called Calm Through the Chaos, because it's an all-inclusive program that will guide you through the process of strengthening your mind-body connection for more flow and less freakouts. But let's stay with the science for a minute, okay? Let's talk about what I was just talking about before, neuroplasticity. Okay, this was when I was talking about forming new pathways in our brain. Neuroplasticity is the capacity you have to change and teach your brain and body new ways of working. Our brains are like a beautiful muscle that we get to train and grow. In science, they used to believe that how you were was just how you were and you couldn't change, but nah. Finally, they've caught up to what we already know, which is that you can change, and it's supported by the neuroscience of neuroplasticity. It's honestly one of my favorite things about us, is that we can change. We just have to practice repetition, and devotion. The reason we usually fall into the same stress cycles is because we've done it so many times. So your brain is like, this is what we're good at. This is how we deal with stress. It works so well, even if it doesn't. But it's just because the sheer fact that we've done it. The pathways are strong, they're slippery, they work well. It's just like you've been strengthening the wrong muscle this whole time. That's all. It's just the wrong muscle. So we need our fight and flight response, my love. Let's not get carried away as well, okay? This is not about getting rid of that fight, flight, or flee response, but this is about learning to be reharmonize with it. The point of sound meditation is not to get rid of that primal brain that signals when there may be fear or danger. It's actually just to be able to calm down when we know we're unnecessarily activated. And this is what sound meditation teaches us. Sound meditation also tones the vagus nerve. So do you know the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is key to mastering your fight or flight stress response. And you know what works so well with the vagus nerve is sound meditation, which I love. The vagus nerve starts right here behind your ears. It's connected to your brain, your heart, your stomach, and your immune system. It helps regulate literally everything from your brain function to your heart rate to your digestive system. So when we're stressed and our heart rate raises, all these different things happen to our body and our brain. One of them is your appetite may shut off, your body gets ready to run, like react to the bear and flee from the woods. Certain parts of your brain, like your executive functioning, aka your decision-making area, shut off. And this is so inconvenient, right? We need that decision-making part of our brain to work when we're stressed. And this is why when we get stressed, we often want to hide and run away and just not deal because our brain is literally not working like it usually does. This also may come in the form of like millions of racing thoughts trying to find the solution, adrenaline flooding your body with its good friend cortisol, which in themselves, I want to say too, adrenaline and cortisol are not bad. It's just over time when we have too much of them, when our body has been producing too much of them, that our body then succumbs to things like difficulty sleeping or trouble focusing, that brain fog I was talking about. In the long term as well, cortisol is what leads the body into illness. But again, before we get stuck on long-term illness, because that's not really what I'm here to talk about, let's focus on the now. Stress just simply causes us to stop having a good time, right? Like we talked about in the beginning. When we're stressed, we don't focus on the beauty of our day-to-day, sharing time and space with loved ones, with our furry friends, with our lovers, with our friends. We're not open to new adventures because we don't feel safe or like we have the capacity. And all this stuff, all the juice and kind of beauty of life, it gets diminished when we're stressed. And we miss out on the life in front of us because we don't want to do things because we want to get through the stress. But this is the thing, my love, and this is the tough truth, is that all we have in this life is in front of us, and it is the right now. So we might as well learn to enjoy it. When we get caught up in that thinking, that's like, I'll be happy when I can finally A, B, C, or I'll relax when X, Y, Z is over. It just puts off your peace for tomorrow. And you know what they say? Tomorrow never comes, my love. All we have is today. So back to the vagus nerve. Sound meditation actually helps tone your vagus nerve, strengthening your body's and your nervous system's capacity to go from being activated by a stressful event into a state of calm once again. Wouldn't that be nice? The vagus nerve represents the main component of the parasympathetic nervous system, which oversees a vast array of crucial bodily functions, including mood control, immune response, digestion, and heart rate. This means that it tells your tummy what to do in the digestive process. It helps regulate your immune system, and it helps control your heart rate. The vagus nerve is seriously your secret superpower for dealing with stress. And if you've never really done anything to strengthen it, then my love, you are not using your own superpower. So let's tap into that superpower. Let's tap into that superpower using the power and the science of sound. I would be so honored to co-create a peaceful space with you to learn to strengthen that vagus nerve and feel more flow in your day-to-day life. If you're in the San Diego area and you're looking for some live sound meditation, please come see me. I've got a special summer offering just for you with a very limited number of spots. Calm Through the Chaos is 4 sessions. So we really dive into rewiring that beautiful brain of yours to reprogram that fight or flight response and tone your vagus nerve. Honestly, I will say as well, this is why I don't sell single sessions. Blame it on the vagus nerve. I'm here for profound change and not a quick fix. I got tired of working with folks looking for that quick fix, and repetition and devotion are key to that profound and deep lasting change. Not great at meditating? You find it hard to sit still? No problem, my love. I used to hate meditating and honestly thought the whole clear your mind thing was kind of bullshit. I did, especially if you're somebody who's experienced trauma. Trying to sit in pure stillness can actually be really, really triggering. And when you can't do it, then you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I broken? Why can't I do this thing that other people do? It's just because you're not working with your body in the way that it needs you to work with it. And I will be here. I'll walk with you every step of the way. And guess what? Best news is sound meditation is not quiet. It's not still, because what is sound anyways but vibrations and different frequencies, aka movement, and the sound will guide you, my dear. I actually had a client say to me the other day how profound and how surprised she was about sound meditation's ability to quiet the entire body with minimal to no effort. And she's somebody who has an ADHD diagnosis, okay? And let me ask you one last thing, my sweet. What is it costing you to stay stressed? What's it taking from you to stay stressed on the path that you are now if nothing were to change? What does it cost you? Your sleep, your clarity, your creativity, your time, your money? What parts of your health does it cost you? Headaches. I know that was a big one for me. Your happiness, special moments with your loved ones. What if nothing changes? What will you continue to miss out on? You deserve, my sweet, a life of bliss. You deserve to feel calm and safe no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what's happening around you. I'll be here with you every step of the way. If you choose to practice and tone that vagus nerve using sound meditation, you'll walk away with things that you can do on your own without me. I'll be here to answer your questions. I've got you. So what are you waiting for? Claim your bliss, my dear. If you're ready to experience more peace, possibility with your everyday, no matter what life throws at you, click the link below to secure your spot. I have very limited in-person availability at this time and a couple of scholarships I'm ready to offer to those who are ready to jump on this and say hell yes to claiming their bliss and their inner peace that they so deserve. After you make your purchase, you'll get an intake form that I need you to fill out as thoroughly as possible so I can best support you during our time together. Then we'll have a 15-minute intake call so you can you can ask me and I will answer any questions that you have, and we can get to know each other a little bit more. And there in that 15-minute intake call is where we'll schedule your first session. I'm so excited to be offering this to you, and it's truly a game changer for those looking to deepen their meditation practice or even just start one that actually works. I'll see you soon, my sweet. So much love to you in sound and beyond.